Picture this. You're driving along a country road in Massachusetts after celebrating Labor Day with your family. You've had your fill
hold
of...
up. So sorry. Give me just a moment. I promise to picture it soon.
Okay.
Here, I had to turn the mood lighting on.
Picture this. There's still too much ice cream in my mouth. 1 second. Picture this. You're driving along a country road in Massachusetts after celebrating Labor Day with your family. You've had your fill of hamburgers, a wonderful day of not working, and what else do you do on Labor Day, DJ? Like, what's Labor Day normally?
On a random day in March, some year, who can say when, we were at a doctor's appointment, and it was supposed to be just kind of a checkup. It was like one of the last checkups before Angela was due to give birth, but her blood pressure was really high, and so the doctors were like, yeah, your blood pressure is really high, we're going to induce you. And I texted friends and family and said, hey, it's Labor Day. So the answer is I sleep while my wife is in the throes of labor.
Okay.
Yeah, the other Labor Day, I'll probably, before I was a dad, I would probably just stay at home playing video games. Now that I'm a dad, I'll be at home and doing my best to not think about the video games that I'm not playing that day.
Fair enough. Well, after that, you're ready to head home and get ready to go back to work the next day. So with your windows down, you feel a nice breeze and enjoy the air. Labor Day's in fall, right?
Yep, September.
Okay, cool, yeah. You enjoy the fall air. Wait, I know that. I have the date of this event written at the top of this document.
You're good.
On your journey home, you notice a strange glow surrounding your car. Strangely, okay. You feel no fear at all, but otherwise just curiosity. You pull over to look around and see what's going on. Getting out of the car, you look up to see 3 large glowing orbs floating around in the sky in different patterns. One of them is bright white, one is an orangish color, and the other shines a few different colors, from reds to blues to greens. They continue to almost dance through the air before they eventually come together. As they do, you are blinded by a bright flash and your ears begin to ring. When your vision returns and the ringing subsides, you look around to see that you are now in what appears to be a large hangar. It appears to be almost empty and has a metallic sheen to it. When suddenly...
like what? Jimmy Neutron.
When suddenly...
Hey, Jimmy!
Suddenly, a hand grabs you by the arm, and a gray figure demands in perfect English, "Tell me about the cats."
I would never.
Just because you said Sheen, this is Ultralord, and this is his Undubla Obligata.
Love it.
But anyways, yeah, that's the encounter that you have just had, saying, "Tell me about the cats." While we're at that, welcome, everybody, to the podcast Everything But the Cats. This is a podcast where we talk about everything but the cats. Right now, we're doing a series called Creatures Unseen, where we talk about cryptids, ghosts, and aliens, etc. If you're interested in that, like and follow along. My name is Gage.
As always, I'm your boy, DJ.
And that's what we're discussing today. DJ, real quick, do you remember what we... so when we were talking about the goblins of the Kelly Hopkinsville event, do you remember what we talked about at the end of that episode?
What we're into.
That too. Before that, it was part of the episode. We talked about...
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Goblin Con.
Yeah.
Which is in Hopkinsville. And one of the guests they're having this year is a man by the name of Tom Reed. And we both talked about how cool the dude looked. Because he was the entrepreneur with the cool glasses who had the, what was it? It was written that the Tom Reed family UFO event or whatever.
Can't remember.
We talked about it at length because it was the only off-world event, or the first off-world event to be documented as historically true. And that's just a very funny wording. That's what we're talking about today.
Sweet.
So,
yeah, this guy, it's like, gosh, who's the guy?
It's like Howie Mandel, a little bit.
Howie Mandel and Vin Diesel had a bald little baby.
Yeah. Could also be said of me. Anyways, I don't look like either of those men. So, to set the stage just a little bit, do you know what happened in July of 1969, specifically on July 20th.
Okay, so my father was about to turn 5. So what hijinks was he getting up to? I guess I'm curious.
It was a big event. The Cold War kind of culminated with this event.
Culminated? I'm going to guess the Cuban Missile Crisis then.
It was another thing, a little bit higher in altitude.
Pigs. Higher in altitude.
Yeah.
9/11.
So July 20th of 1969, people all across America and many more throughout the world tuned in for one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs that they would see in their lifetimes.
Oh, yeah, the moon.
The moon landing.
Yeah, good job, Dad. You were just a little guy.
Debatably one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs. I'm kidding. This is not a moon landing hoax episode. But that's right. The moon landing. The idea that we could step foot on the moon, even today, is really incredible to fathom. Like, as somebody who's not, an astronaut, an astrophysicist, or anything like that, just the concept of putting people on the moon is crazy.
Yes.
Like, that's just an incredible feat. Especially because, we don't naturally fly or breathe up there. Like, the idea that, humans look at things that kill us and we're like, you know what, we should go there.
Yeah, it's it's what makes us special, I think. It sets us apart.
Kinda.
Like God put creation under us, which means we see something that can kill us. It is our God-given right to think, I'm gonna go touch that.
I mean, that's deeper than I expected. But yeah, the idea, just genuinely, it's so cool to think about the moon landing. However, the lunar landing of Apollo 11 was not the only space-related event to make international news in 1969. There were actually a lot of things. This is just the one I'm picking out. In fact, one that is certainly more confusing and perhaps even related to the moon landing would occur just 6 weeks after, in the midst of a few small towns in Massachusetts. DJ, have you ever been to Massachusetts?
No, I
don't
believe I have.
I don't know a lot about Massachusetts, but it's kind of what I picture when I think of New England is Massachusetts. We're specifically in Berkshire County, Massachusetts, which is the furthest west county of the state. It's known for its natural beauty and the forests and great hills, the rich history, and the picturesque New England towns. Berkshire County is not a place where you would imagine a lot of pandemonium erupting, outside of the Revolutionary War, of course.
Classic.
It's roughly 946 square miles. So if you remember a couple weeks ago when we did the Beast of Gévaudan, which I said it weird there, the Beast covered an area of roughly 2,500 square miles.
That's a big beast.
This is less than half of the area of Gévaudan, France.
Sweet.
Right now, the population is a little under 130,000 people in this county, and I don't know a lot about population density, but that's not a very densely populated area for that size.
Yeah.
But our story today doesn't take place in the modern Berkshire County. It takes place on September 1st of 1969. At the time, the county had a larger population at just under 150,000. Essentially, that was actually its peak. The peak population of the county was at the time of this happening, and it's just been on a steady decline ever since.
Dang, New York and Boston stealing everybody.
I know. It's actually only a few hundred, I think less than 200 miles away from both of those.
Yeah.
In different ways. But yeah. So essentially, this is the peak population. It is Labor Day weekend, roughly 6 weeks after the moon landing, when dozens of witnesses would see the sky alight in a way that they could never have seen coming. Gosh, I put this so early. But first, a word from our sponsor. I forgot how early I put this in here.
I'm on it.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, we got to get that sweet, sweet ad money.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Gage, are you tired of your drab, normal hairstyle? Gage?
Yes?
Are you ready to liven things up when you step out?
Yeah.
Do you want to live the punk life, but you just can't get the mohawk to stick without using glue?
Yeah.
Berkshire Hair Care has the product for you, Gage. are new. Their new gravity-defying hairspray will have your hair looking like it's being abducted, because it just might be. They've used special technology to harness the radioactive energy left behind in Berkshire County to formulate a new kind of hairspray that uses the same method of hair raising as the tractor beams that took many of your childhood friends. But wait, you listeners, if you call now, they're going to throw in 2 extra bottles for free. Just use the code HairlessCats. Yeah, they'll throw in 2 extra bottles for free. Use code HairlessCats while supplies last. So, what are you waiting for? Get Berkshire Hairspray now, and you'll have UFOologists. How do you pronounce that?
I think it's just ufologists.
I don't like that.
What I went with. I don't either.
Ufologists wondering where you got it. Berkshire's Hairspray is not liable for actual alien abductions.
And now back to your programming.
Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
We're talking about the 1969 Berkshire UFO Incident. And I'm going to jump right into the first-hand accounts. This name is fun. Melanie Kirchdorfer.
That is a fun name.
Or Kirchdorfer. It's Kirchdorfer or Kirchdorfer? Dorfer.
I don't care. It's fun.
Melanie and her family had gone out to get ice cream and decided to back into a parking spot at Lake Mansfield in Great Barrington, or near Great Barrington, to enjoy the last moments of their evening together when they were overcome by a bright light that seemed to engulf the whole car. As the glowing object took off down a road, her father decided to chase it. Melody objected and was not listened to. As they were in pursuit of the light, one of the last things that she remembers in the car is that she was levitating. Now, I listened to an actual interview with Melanie, and I read a report that's from years ago. The interview with her, she said that the whole car was levitating, or at least that's what it sounded like. But in the reports, it says that just Melanie was levitating, or at least that's how they make it sound.
Yeah.
I'm going with Melanie on this one, firsthand. So the firsthand account is that the whole car was levitating. Regardless of which one it was, the next thing that she knows, she's in a reddish-orange room that has, like, metallic walls that she described as almost being like glass. So I guess that means, like, the shine, like the metallic shine almost being like glass. And she's on a table. She said it's like the table that you would see an autopsy being performed on. But she can't tell if anyone else is in the room with her. She is, like, just can't pick that up. Then the memory kind of fades a little bit, and she's in another room. But this room has multiple children in it. Other children, much younger than her, who disappear one by one. She didn't say how. She just said they disappeared one by one. So that's freaky. Like, imagine you're just in a room surrounded by kids and they just fade away. But yeah, she was in this room and the children were disappearing one by one, and then she did. And then she has no other memories of what would have happened in here other than that she wakes up on the beach, which is crazy. And like, listening to her tell the story, like, I believe that she genuinely believes everything she's saying.
Sure.
Like, regardless of my stance on aliens and abductions and stuff like that, I believe her in the way that she was telling this story and how much she believes what she's explaining. So after this happened... Like, go ahead. Sorry.
To be clear, you don't necessarily believe that anything happened, but you believe that she believes something happened.
I go back and forth because with abductions and stuff like that, I do believe that something did happen. Whether or not somebody was transported off Earth or into an alien spaceship, or they had some kind of another thing happen that I just don't know what it is debatable. But I believe the words, like, I believe the story. Kind of like the example of, this is very different because one of them is definitely inspired by the Holy Spirit and one of them is not. But John, when he is praying in the Spirit in the book of Revelation, is taken away. I don't necessarily think he was physically taken to view what was happening. I think that he was taken in the Spirit to see the vision that God had for him. And like I say, very different, because I believe that is revelation by the Holy Spirit. I don't necessarily think this is.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I don't think that's what this is. But I think it could
Yeah.
be similar in that, like, you could be stationary, but you're having like an out-of-body experience or something like that, for example. Some kind of a very vivid, lucid dream, but I don't know how you get knocked into it is the thing.
Everyone else in the car is like, bro, what are you doing?
I don't know. And I'm just saying allegedly with all of this, because it is firsthand account from an individual.
Yeah.
And they're crazy, not crazy, but I mean, like, the stories are wild, and the stories are things that are hard to believe at face value, but they're told by people who are being so genuine. That's the bottom line of what I'm trying to get at. So, like, whether something happened or not, I believe at the very least she's not lying based on what she believes happened.
Yeah. I'm willing to believe that she believes something happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she believes the story she's telling. And there's some physical proof to go along with part of this. Okay. But anyways, she wakes up on the beach of the lake with severe stomach pain and then has to walk home because the car is gone. Like, her family and the car are gone. But though the whole family generally remembered that something happened, none of the others remember why she wasn't with them anymore or how they got home. So the whole family attests to that like they saw something, they chased the light, and then the next thing they all remember on Earth is that she's on the beach and they're at home and they don't know what happened.
Why? Or sorry, not why. Was there any missing time?
Well, yeah, I don't know exactly how much time, but like time had definitely passed. Every encounter that we're going to go over has a period of time that goes missing. I don't have the specific numbers written down because I was hastily going through this information, but they do all mention that they lost time while this is going on. So one of the other things that's a little bit weird is that the whole family would claim that they remembered something weird happening, but Melanie was the one who was outspoken about it, and she said that it got to the point where they did not want her talking about it because it made the family seem crazy. And so when she started to, like, talk about it, they would lock her in the basement.
Hey, guys, really, like, there's been an elephant in the room for these past 6 weeks. Like, we have to... Wait, Mom, what are you...
Like,
Wild.
That's not funny, but like, it just came out of left field, and when I was listening to this documentary, I was like, what?
All right, Mom, Dad, reporters are here. I'm gonna go talk to them. Like, hell you are. Get in the pit.
But yeah, so since this encounter for Melanie, other than some trauma, obviously, in relation to her family's response, she has noticed that she was granted a strange ability. In that, she essentially interacts with electromagnetic fields differently than everyone else does, in that sometimes lights will just turn off when she walks into a room, and whenever she goes into a room that a computer is in, it shuts down.
I need to verify this.
Personally.
We gotta get contacted. Hey, Melanie, if you're listening to this, it's not that we doubt you. Like we said, I believe that you believe that something happened. But I do, right? Yeah. And that's the amount that I can believe.
Yeah.
But I can't say that. I if my wife approves it, I will pay for your trip to Joplin, Missouri, so you can walk into the room where my laptop is on, and I can watch it turn off because of your powers.
Hey, you know what? Join an episode of the podcast, and when the computer shuts down in the middle of recording, we'll believe it.
Yeah, when you're unable to record because anytime we see you for half a second, everything craps out. Like, specifically your system. And you got both your hands up like this and your feet, then we'll know that you're not lying to us.
Well, and it's
Again, we believe that you believe.
Yes. And I know it sounds like almost like we're making fun of the situation. I don't want it to come across that way. Like,
That's fair.
I genuinely, and her and the other people who have these encounters, I don't want to make it come across like I'm making fun of them or like I feel like they're dumb or anything like that. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's no way for me to verify the validity of your story, but I believe that you believe your story and that's what you experienced. That's what I want to say. Whether it was literally what you experienced or just something that you experienced in a different sense is a different story.
I think my tone maybe lost the fact that there are real humans on the other side of the words that I'm saying. I apologize. But I would be really interested to see your superpower.
That being said, it definitely doesn't work on all electronic devices because I saw her on a documentary, so there were cameras nearby. So, like I said, it's sometimes. Go ahead.
You don't need electronics for a camera.
That's true.
They probably broke out the old film crank.
That's exactly what Yes Theory did. Anyways, This encounter is grand in its own right. Like it is a wild story. It is an extreme story of an alien interaction, potentially an abduction. Now, one of the things that I did keep finding in articles surrounding this is that the people who had these encounters didn't like the term abduction.
Interesting.
They didn't like referring to it as them being abducted. And I didn't really find a lot of the reasoning behind why, but most of the articles that I read, they specified they don't like the term abducted, and they never said that they were abducted in the interviews that I listened to. So that's just an interesting little tidbit there. So this encounter is grand in its own right. It is a wild story. There's one that seems even a little more fantastical, and that is the story of Thomas Reed, who is one of the guest speakers at Goblin Con this year. If you want to go...
You want to see my impression?
Yeah.
Sorry. That's it. That's all I have.
Tom Reed, he's a very interesting guy. Just listening to him talk about this and things along those lines, how analytical he is about a lot of the things that he's discussing. And he really likes to point to documentation. And we'll get to why that's a cool thing and why that's a potentially harmful thing here in a few minutes. But Thomas Reed, he was 6 at the time. He was with his younger brother, Matthew, his mother, and his grandmother. They were driving home from the diner on September 1st, 1969. I found one report that said at 8 o'clock, but almost nothing else specified what time. It was dark. It was nighttime.
Sweet.
But yeah, so Tom Reed is essentially the whole reason we're doing this episode. Because as I said previously on the Kelly Hopkinsville event episode, we found out he's going to be a keynote speaker at Goblin Con. Go check that episode out if you haven't. Go check out Goblin Con. I want to go at some point, maybe not this year, but eventually. But anyways, he and his family were driving home that evening, maybe about 8 o'clock or so, in or near Sheffield, Massachusetts. His mother was driving, his grandmother was in the passenger seat, his brother was in the back passenger side, and Tom was behind his mother. They were driving down an old bumpy road toward a covered bridge, which really gives me memories of watching the first 10 minutes of Beetlejuice as a kid. Like, that's all I think of when I see covered bridges, is the scene where they die going off of a covered bridge.
Spoilers.
It's not much of a spoiler.
I've never seen that part of... I've never seen all of Beetlejuice, for sure.
I've never watched it all in one setting, but my cousin had it when I was younger, and we put it on all the time. And I'm pretty sure it always ended up scaring me because it was me.
That sounds like you, yeah.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, so they were driving down this bumpy road toward a covered bridge, and as they went through the covered bridge, his grandma said that she noticed a strange glow, unnaturally bright for the time of day, and there was an excess of light coming through the floor of the bridge, which implies that whatever's making the glow is beneath the bridge, I think.
Yeah, weird place to be.
Yeah, but when they exited the covered bridge, Tom was trying to give his little brother a fireball, the hard candy, not the hard liquor. And his
I was like, okay.
Yeah, a 6-year-old was trying to give a 4-year-old some fireball.
I don't know what they get up to in Berkshire County.
That's a good point. But his grandma turned around to tell him that Matthew was too young for that, which, again, works for both things.
Okay, I was like, are we still doing the joke here, or?
No, that's legitimately what happened. She was like, he's too young for a hard candy. He might swallow it or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And when she turned around, she saw the source of the light. There was an orb, pretty much a perfect sphere, described as 4 times the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, which is oddly specific and such an American way to describe the size of something.
Yeah.
It's as big as 4 Volkswagen Beetles.
Got it.
And it was following them about 80 yards away. Like many of the other accounts from this night, this orb gave off a white glow. But soon after they spotted the first one, a second orb began to approach the car from the right. The second one was an orangish red color. And so, you know how whenever you try to put like an animation of waves or swirling water on a flat object, do you know what that looks like, kind of?
Sure.
That's what this looks like. Or it looks like there's this swirling water kind of texture to it, but it's like a flat, smooth surface. But that's just kind of what the orangish light looks like it's radiating as, like moving water and waves. They weren't able to drive too quickly because it was a really bumpy road, and I guess they were obeying the speed limit, so they were going like 15 miles an hour. But the orbs didn't get too close to them until they came to the telephone pole and saw in the field before them what Tom described as like a turtle shell the size of a football field. And then he said it was putting off odd colors like amber, which is hilarious because you just named one color.
He's like, picture other colors that are as odd as the color amber. And it was putting off those ones too.
Yeah.
Like chartreuse or goldenrod.
It could just be
Puce.
lime pink.
Lime pink.
It could just be that the nature of the editing of the interview made it a little choppier than it needed to be, or it could be that they didn't edit the interview and he just said colors when he meant an odd color like amber.
It was putting off odd color, amber.
But suddenly, as they see this large turtle shell, suddenly the car is filled with a great light, but it doesn't hurt anyone's eyes. So that's interesting. DJ, do you know what red light therapy is?
Okay. So there's I can't remember if it's Mad TV or what, but there's the guy that is like, just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you see someone's making destructive decisions and you just put up a red light in their life. You say, stop it. Stop. Just quit.
So,
hey, stop.
So red light therapy it's like a tanning bed, but it's unlike UV light, which is what tanning beds do. It's the opposite side of the light spectrum, which is, I don't know what it's called, but it's called red light when you talk about the type of therapy that it is, the type of bed that it is. And so it's not red. Well, it might be. I don't know. When I opened my eyes in it, because I did it today, when I opened my eyes in it, it was a bright light all around me, but it didn't hurt my eyes. And so that's kind of what I imagine is happening here. Like it could be a type of light that isn't a UV light. Like it's a different kind of light wave, essentially.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be to help lower blood pressure and help your body naturally produce collagen and stuff like that. I don't know.
I believe that you believe that, Gage.
But yeah, so the car is filled with red light. They're all getting their collagen increased and their blood pressure lowered. But then suddenly, it's gone. Like the light's gone. The crafts are all gone. The orb, everything. It's all gone. And then they're just surrounded by darkness and silence before suddenly a cacophony of insects and other woodland animals start like screaming. Yes. So like all the cicadas, crickets, etc., the birds, everything just starts like going nuts.
Okay. Love that. Love that nature's like, the heck?
Just like, the F was that, bro?
Yeah.
The next thing Tom remembers, however, is that he is in a room similar to a hangar. And he's laying down on a cart of some kind. He's telling this story, he says that he slides off of the cart and he looks at the light source and sees that it's like tubes of light in the walls. And then he's quickly grabbed by a gray hand and led down a hallway that had tall white walls before ending up in a room with like bowed out walls. And in the second room, he was placed on a table somewhat like what you would see in an autopsy. He could hear voices. He could hear a woman screaming, which he thought was his mom. At some point in his account, he claimed that he saw Melanie in the ship, but she never claims she saw him. But he claims he saw her at some point during his time in the ship. And his mother had stated in the past that she remembers screaming for her sons. So she was also in here, but we don't have her firsthand account. We just have his. So while he was on the table, there were these packets placed on him, and he said they looked almost like raisins, but they felt like bubbling hot, boiling water was going through his skin wherever they were placed. And then he felt a couple bumps, like 3 bumps on his head, and he woke up in the car. He said his brother, when he came to, he had puncture wounds, one in his abdomen and one close to his ear. And when the family all came to, the grandmother was in the driver's seat, not in the passenger seat anymore. The mother was in the passenger seat, and the boys were where they were in the back of the car.
I love the idea that the aliens were like, crap. Did you pay attention to how they were? I really thought you were. Why would I was not abducting, strategically removing them from their seats. Why would I pay attention to where they were seated? That's your job.
I was befriending them.
Yeah, I was preparing for the autopsy. What are you doing? And then they're like, okay, let's think. Okay, that one has just had Fireball. He is not fit to drive. And he's very little. Okay, not him. Must be a woman. The older one. She seems mature enough.
I'm almost certain that was the exact line of reasoning. But yeah, so the grandmother, when she came to, she turned the car back on because everyone else was still like kind of out of it, and turned back toward the bridge to try to go and get some help. Now, I did find a few articles, and one of them was written by a paralegal who worked under Tom's stepfather, who was a lawyer. And this article included a lot of details that weren't in his account when he gave his interview.
Yeah.
So this article said that this was actually the second of their encounters. The first one took place at their home earlier in the day, but that's kind of just it. It's that the brothers had an experience at the home earlier in the day. This article also says that when they woke up, the grandma was in the road, wandering around aimlessly. But like I said, I've got these other details, but I'm sticking with the account that is from Tom specifically in the interview that he gave on Yes Theory's video. So
what? Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
What superpower did Tom get?
The ability to convince town governments to do things for him that don't make sense, and you'll understand that in a few minutes.
Great.
It must be charisma. I think it's charisma.
Yeah.
Tom is a very charismatic dude. Can you say something?
I said sweet, but I was muted.
Okay, cool. It just buzzed, and then I heard nothing, and I was like, oh, my computer decided to cut my headphones off. So yeah, that's the story of Tom. We'll get to more of his story here in a few minutes, but that night would abound with all kinds of sightings similar to these, though maybe not as intense. The local radio station, WSBS, received multiple phone calls from locals describing flying objects that were in different colors and flying in patterns not typical of the airplanes and helicopters at the time. Kevin Titus Jr., who is now a judge in the state of Connecticut and has served time as a police officer and in the military, I think even the special forces, that I was kind of hazy on, claimed that he saw a bright light in the sky going over his family property. Soon after, he found one of their cattle that looked as though it had been burst open. Jane Green, another local, claimed to have seen a large and bright flying light over her car that night, but she claimed that it was silent the whole time it followed her, like nothing she had seen or experienced otherwise. There were other accounts. There was a teacher who talked about how the next day students were coming in talking about the event, all the things that they saw or their family members saw. And at the time, like they didn't have social media, they didn't really have the connectivity of communication that we do. And so these kids had heard these stories from either their parents, their siblings, or they had seen them firsthand. And it was the very next morning, everyone was talking about it.
Oh, for sure.
But for some reason, in the days and weeks afterward, everyone started being really quiet. Like, people just stopped talking about it for the most part and stopped wanting
It's
to talk about
because
it.
Melanie's parents were throwing anyone who still talked about it in the basement.
Maybe.
Probably even. I need you to believe that I believe it.
Yeah. So I'm going to do something a little bit different than normal. I'm going to go ahead and throw in just this piece of information that's very recent in
Sure.
terms of this story. But there's a reporter named Jennifer Huberdeau.
Hoobastank.
Who proposes the theory that aliens were communicating in this specific area of the country because of the moon landing. Now, she has articles backing up a lot of the things that she's saying. She's just got a lot of evidence to back up her idea, not of the alien thing, but of what NASA did that may have caused this. Now,
Sweet.
there were a lot of pieces of the moon landing gear and the shuttle itself that were some technological pieces, but also some more like software pieces that were developed in this area of Massachusetts. Not sure how that ended up happening, but that is what happened. Also, there was the Sprague family, who were big in like the tech world at the time, who were contacted by NASA specifically to create a small silicon disc that ended up being about the size of a silver dollar, roughly, that included information from 49 heads of state throughout the world that would be left on the moon when the lunar landing of Apollo 11 happened.
And the one from Nepal was like, "Hey man, whenever you guys have beef about this, it was those jerks in Berkshire County, Massachusetts. Remember that. Spell it out. Here are the coordinates. It was them."
But it is interesting that this silicon disk with information from 49 heads of state was left on the moon, was created in Berkshire County, or by a company that is very heavily in Berkshire County. And then 6 weeks later, we have all of these UFO sightings in Berkshire County. It's just interesting, right? Like, I can understand why, if you're going through the pieces of information, you'd be like, oh, that's an odd connection, you know? Like, I can see that.
For sure.
And so her take is that due to all the government involvement with UFOs in the area, it only makes sense that they would visit Berkshire County. That's her perspective on it. She had this conversation with many of the people who were the eyewitnesses, and they were all kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And that conversation, as far as I know, didn't go anywhere else, but the part that was recorded, that's where it ended. Is they're like, yeah, that's cool.
You know what I believe?
What?
I believe that she believes that.
So the United States government had something at the time called Project Blue Book. We have mentioned it before. Do you know anything about Project Blue Book other than like something I might have said previously? Probably.
I only have a dumb answer, so no is the short answer. The long answer is it's the website where you can find out how much your car is worth.
Yeah. Project Blue Book was an Air Force program specifically set up by the U.S. government to look into cases of unidentified flying objects between 1952 and 1969. Though in most instances, what they would do is they would essentially look at it, they would do their investigation, and then they would say that's a weather balloon or some other explainable phenomenon. That's what they did, essentially. It was
classic.
It was a way for the government at the time to just say, no, we know exactly what that was, without really giving much of an answer, but giving an answer that worked, you know? But this is one of the cases during their existence that they never gave an explanation for. Now, one of the reasons for that could be that this happened in September of 1969, and they were disbanded by the end of 1969. That could be part of it. Part of the reason they didn't explain this one, because this was not even the only sighting in 1969. So they could have just been busy and not gotten to it. But regardless, they never gave an explanation. And we know now, because of declassified Pentagon documents, that the government didn't stop like looking into UFO stories, essentially. Like, didn't stop looking
Yeah.
into them and trying to come up with explanations for them. And there's still not a documented explanation of this case. Yeah.
I mean,
Similarly, go ahead.
there's not a documented explanation for how I climbed Mount Everest.
So true, man. So true. Similarly, Great Barrington Historical Society and Museum put out this statement on February 6th of 2015. To all interested parties, the Great Barrington Historical Society in Massachusetts has formally and officially inducted the first off-world UFO case in U.S. history. The subject encounter involves Thomas E. Reed, a Great Barrington resident born on February 12, 1960, and his family. Wait, according to this, he would have been 9 when it happened. But the thing I read said 6.
Maybe that was his younger brother.
Yeah.
6 is too young for a fireball.
Still too young, yeah. February 12th, 1960, and his family. The event was broadcast on Great Barrington's own WSBS radio station, marking the incident, which occurred on September 1st, 1969. This widely witnessed event was issued a Hynek classification, a UFO sighting categorization system developed by astronomer Dr. J. Allen Hynek during the years of Project Blue Book, a study of unidentified flying objects conducted by the U.S. Air Force, and was mentioned at the United Nations in 1992. Whereas this renowned case has received international recognition due to factual and corroborated evidence as well as first-hand testimony, including a recent polygraph test, the Great Barrington Historical Society confirms that the Reed off-world incident is historically significant and true and warrants induction into the GBHS collection. We are grateful to Tom Reed for providing us the opportunity to preserve his remarkable story for future generations. Signed, Debbie U. Opperman, Director of the Great Barrington Historical Society and Museum.
Great Barrington sounds like a Batman swear.
It kind of does.
Great Barrington!
So yeah, that's interesting. And that's the context of the verifiably true statement. That's the context, is that letter from 2015. The recent polygraph test referenced is actually Tom Reed did a polygraph test and was found to be 99.1% accurate in his retelling, or 99.1% truthful in his retelling. I'm very curious what that 0.9% is.
Yeah. I, Tom, if you're listening, I especially believe that you believe.
Especially.
Like, 99% believe that you believe.
I've been reading Mindhunter. I mentioned it in a previous episode. And one of the things that John Douglas says repeatedly is that if you believe what you're saying, then the polygraph is unreliable. And so, like, yeah, it's one of those things that it's like, it has some merit, but there's a reason they don't count it as evidence in court. Anyways, this case was given a classification on the Vallee Classification system of CE4 with a case category of 3. At this point, some people might ask what that means.
What that means?
What that means. So, Vallee Classification is a system used to categorize the various types of UFO and paranormal experiences invented by Dr. Jacques Vallee, or Vallee.
Good for him. Yeah.
It has a few different categories. One of them is AN, which is anomalous behavior, and AN1 is anomalies which have no lasting physical effects. Cool. AN2 is anomalies which do have lasting physical effects. 3 is anomalies with associated entities. So like ghosts, yetis, elves, specific entities involved.
Sure.
So the previous 2 are just like, that's a weird thing that happened. I saw a shadow or something.
Yeah.
I saw a shadow and it left a
here.
mark.
I was there, but now I'm here.
Yeah. An AN4 is a witness interaction with an AN3 entity. So like an interaction specifically with an associated entity, a ghost, a yeti, an elf,
Sure.
etc. Specifically in the category of near death, religious miracles, or out-of-body experiences.
Great.
And then an AN5 is an anomalous report of injury or death, including, but not limited to, spontaneous human combustion, unexplained wounds, and paranormal healings. The next category is MA, and we're getting to the CE one, which is the one that this has. MA is behavior of a UFO, so like flight behavior. A 1 is a UFO has been observed, which travels in discontinuous trajectory, essentially not in a straight line. 2 is plus any physical effect caused by the UFO, so like things moving, something breaking, things along those lines. 3 is plus entities observed on board, so it gets close enough you can see an alien on it.
Ooh.
4 is maneuvers accompanied by a sense of reality transformation by the observer. So abduction is kind of what that means.
But not.
And then 5, a maneuver that results in permanent injury or death of the witness.
Have I ever told you about my MA one?
Maybe?
We can save it for later.
You can tell it now if you want.
Sure. I'm a little kid in middle school. I think either middle school or high school. I was living in the apartments that we lived in, the Highlands back in the day. And yeah, so we're living there. I had just a few days before, so it's during the summer, I think, because I'm up way later than I should be, so it's probably during the summer when my sleep schedule's all messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But I earlier that week or that day had seen something about like a UFO in China, and I have tried looking it up since then and haven't found anything. So it was probably just like some scam or something, but had seen something, and then it's like 3 a.m. that night, and I've got blinds. The blinds are closed, and I'm just up late playing like not video games, but just like on the internet, probably on Facebook. Like I was a Facebook fiend. Up late on the internet, and I look out the blinds, and I notice that there's a light just kind of moving, kind of a big light just kind of moving. I'm like, that's strange. And then I kind of keep playing on the internet or whatever, and then eventually it like clicks like, no, that's like weird. Like we live upstairs, and like nothing should be up. What is that? And so I go and look, and by the time I look, it's not like this big light anymore. It's just essentially the size of a star and just like moving around all willy-nilly. Not like super fast, but just moving around. So everyone that I've made fun of, mine doesn't sound nearly as ridiculous as yours.
So my mom, when she was younger, she was staying with a friend. This would probably be an MA2, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
She and one of her friends were having a sleepover, and late at night they saw bright lights coming in through the window of the bedroom. And so they hid underneath the window, like under it, so that like if something was out there, it couldn't see in, essentially. And then when they went out in the morning, I'm pretty sure she, like the way she described it is that there was a big circle burned into the backyard, like into the grass. And there was something, like there were some utensils or something. There was something in the middle of the circle that didn't make sense for it to be there the way that it was. I don't remember what she said it was.
Get there?
Yeah, I feel like it was like a utensil of some kind. I just don't remember what kind. But yeah, so that's a story that my mom has.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's I got through all the behavior of a UFO. Then we've got the FB rating, which is flyby rating. 1 is a simple sighting of a UFO in a straight line across the sky. 2 is accompanied by physical evidence. 3 is entities are observed on board. 4 is witness experienced transformation of reality into the object or its occupants. Now, the wording of this is interesting to me.
Your voice cracked a little.
Cracked really bad.
Now.
I'm
sorry, Gage.
It's the witness experienced transformation of reality into the object or its occupants. So that means that the witness ended up in the object or ended up in the occupants of the object.
This spaceship is fleshy.
Yeah. It could just be a jean jacket or whatever from Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 5 is permanent injury or death.
Classic.
Now the CE rating, which is Close Encounter rating. You've probably heard of the movie Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. It was an alien horror movie that came out, I believe, in like the 80s, or maybe it was the
Man,
early
and
2000s.
there's a fifth kind?
Yeah,
There's
there
a
is a
fifth
fifth
kind, and
kind.
they went for the fourth?
Well, here's why.
Scrubs.
So CE1 is UFO comes within 500 feet of the witness, but no effects are suffered. CE2 is that there are landing traces or injuries involved with the UFO coming close. CE3 is that entities are observed on the UFO. You can notice a pattern.
Yeah.
CE4 is that the witness was abducted. Now, I don't know how the witness being abducted is different than the witness having a transformation of reality into the object or its occupants, but it is apparently. And then
Sure.
CE5 is abduction that leads to permanent psychological injury or death.
Well, so I would think like abducted would probably be, my assumption is more like tractor beam kind of thing. Like you're
Okay.
physically transported into the ship, whereas like your reality is shifted, like essentially teleported, but like you're in this thing.
Or like an out of body experience kind of thing, like you're seeing it through their
Almost, yeah.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would
Okay.
explain how you get inside the people.
Yeah, it would. Another thing on the Vallee scale, essentially, another thing on the Vallee classification is something called an SVP rating. Now, S stands for source reliability, V is visit rating or who visited the site, P is possible explanation rating. Essentially, on a scale from 0 to 4, if it's a 0, that means it's not a reliable source, or there wasn't a good person who visited, or there is a possible explanation. The higher the number, the more paranormal or supernatural the experience is, so to speak. And this account was given a 3 overall, essentially saying that it had reliable sources because it has a first-hand account and people who interviewed, like trusted people in the field who interviewed about that first-hand account. The site was visited by people who study this kind of stuff. They had Project Blue Book operatives there, and then possible explanations rating because there are possible explanations within the natural world, but not many, essentially. All that to say, the people who are into this stuff are really into this case.
Sorry, I just keep reading up on Tom Reed. Did you know that on the Goblin Con thing you can learn more about people even than like what it says? If you click on them, it takes you to a super detailed thing.
I have done that, but I didn't read the whole thing.
Until the age of 2, Tom lived in Cherry Hills, Colorado, at the home of William Roosevelt, the grandson of President Roosevelt. Which one? Who knows? His grandmother was the governess for the household. He moved back to New England in 1963. By the age of 26, he was a stage manager and photographer at Club Med, where he met Danielle Gallo, who helped him get other jobs, and so he became like a model photographer. And then I was reading.
Did you
like,
say at
his
age 6?
26?
26.
Yeah. And then I was reading his bio on his website, and it starts with Tom Reed founded the artist group. This is how it starts. This is what he's putting forward into the world. Tom Reed founded the artist group Miami Models and maintains a net worth of $1.4 million. He launched Miami Models and blah, blah. But like he's like, just so you know, here's how much money I have. It's not.
For, like, that is a lot of money, but that's not a lot of money.
No, like he's not quite ready to retire.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
funny,
maybe
though.
that's him being like, hey, I'm getting old, guys. Like, let's
I mean,
let's
he is. He
schedule
was
some
born
interviews.
in like 1960. That's not old,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's not really young. Anyways, this is called the first UFO case archived as historically true. We already went over that document. Essentially, it's
Yes.
been documented in court documents, government documents, etc., and is considered historically true as an event, which happens to include 2 accounts at least of abduction and lost time. Some land by the cover. So there was some land by the covered bridge where Tom Reed and his family were abducted that was donated to Tom Reed.
That's what it sounds like when I've been reading his bio multiple times
And
lately.
now it's a UFO park. It exists as a reminder of this moment in history, essentially. And with the vocal support of Tom Reed and support from other witnesses, a 5,000-pound concrete monument was placed in the park in 2015. They even got a document signed by the governor for it, and I want to read to you this document because I have a copy of it.
Real quick, for our British listeners, 5,000 pounds is a bit more than $5,000. In case that helps you.
Given the current like soccer rates, it would probably end up being like $7,500. $7,500.
Happy to help.
So this is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I'm not going to try to read that. It's Latin. Thomas E. Reed. On behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I am pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation in recognition of the off-world incident on September 1st, 1969, which engaged the Reed family, which has been established. Your dedicated service to the incident was factually upheld, founded, and deemed historically significant and true by means of Massachusetts historians. The records highlighting the historic event are now officially part of the Great Barrington, Massachusetts Historical Society's collection and your recent induction into Massachusetts history. This third day of November in the year 2015, Charles D. Baker, Governor, and Karen E. Polito, Lieutenant Governor.
And do you miss back when like there was time for us to do stuff like this?
Yes.
Like the world just felt so much more carefree.
It really did.
Yeah.
Back in 2015, back in the day.
10 years ago, Gage.
Yeah. Gosh, a decade ago. But yeah, so the park has been visited by many famous people, including B.B. King's daughter, Rita King, who is one of the people who's sponsored a bench there.
I'd rather read a book.
Netflix's Unsolved Mysteries, Travel Channel's UFO Witness and Paranormal Declassified, the Roswell International UFO Museum and Research Center, Ancient Aliens, Fact or Faked, and Yes Theory, and many more. Also, the park has hosted UFO-themed weddings and is a place for those who have seen UFOs to just run into each other and share their stories, essentially.
A third space for abductees.
4 years after the monument was put up, the monument would be removed by the city. Tom Reed and others behind the park have claimed that they had town support when it was put in place, but the town's lawyer and the town administrator both publicly said that it was town property and they never agreed to have it put there. Don't know why it took them 4 years to remove it, if that was the case.
That's bureaucracy.
Yeah. And then in 2008, a spokesperson of the Massachusetts government, Charlie Baker, who I should also say was the governor in 2015, whose signature was on the UFO monument, said that his signature had been given in error.
Oof.
And about the same time, the Great Barrington Historical Society began to backpedal their support, stating that their decision and words had been taken out of context when they were specifically speaking of the event as a whole and not an individual, which seems to be a shot fired at Tom Reed specifically.
Sorry, Tom. We believe that you believe.
Yeah. I will throw in, Yes Theory, I've mentioned it many times, did a documentary where they kept trying to set up interviews with the chief of police and they kept being blown off. So there is something about the local government in Berkshire County that just doesn't want to deal with this anymore or doesn't want to deal with Tom Reed anymore, is kind of the way that I'm interpreting all of these things happening. Like, it seems like they at first were like really behind him and behind it, but some things happened that's kind of made everybody take a step back on that, which is interesting, but I don't know what it means, and I'm not going to try to come up with an explanation.
Yeah, I did. Tom, you sound like a nice guy. You sound very charismatic, like Gage mentioned. I would love to meet you. We'd love to have you on the show sometime. Our tone would be kinder then. My tone, specifically, I would be kinder then. But I did feel like it was interesting when you... Let me see if I can find the exact wording here. Okay, so you say that it's like this random specific museum in his hometown is like, yeah, so we verified it is true. And then the wording on everything I'm seeing is the incident, like Reed's incident of September 1st, 1969 became the first off-world incident to be officially inducted and formally archived into the United States as historically true by historians in the Office of Governor. And like... It's like,
well, at the very least, they believe that there were a bunch of sightings that night, is kind of the stance that they would take today. essentially. Is they're like, yeah, a bunch of people saw things that we can't explain that night. And that's what they have pedaled back to saying, is that they support the witnesses in general, but
Yeah.
there's something about Tom Reed that I think a lot of these people don't really like. And I don't know the guy. Like I say, I think you seem very
Yeah.
charismatic. You seem like a nice dude. The interviews that I've watched, really enjoyed. Like, you're fun to listen to. If you're listening to this, I doubt you are, but if you are, like DJ said, come on. We would love to talk to you
Yeah.
in person. Not in person, obviously, because we do this online. But like, we would love to talk to you and hear your story firsthand ourselves.
Yeah, for sure.
But there just seems to be something there. So I don't know. Now,
Yeah.
I know that this isn't a cryptid, so this isn't like, something that's specific to an area like the Jersey Devil was, but sightings in the area persist even today. I say today, I mean 5 years ago. May 29th of 2020, there was another sighting in the area by Wendy Ann Puckett. Such a name.
I love it.
She was sitting in her yard around a fire pit with some friends and family and saw a flash in the sky. And then she saw multiple other flashes in the sky in different spots before they started to move in a circle, doing different kinds of maneuvers until they came together in the sky and then separated, going very quickly in different directions. And so UFO sightings still persist in this area of the country and everywhere else in the world. That sounded a lot more like sarcastic than I intended it, but I mean, they do happen all over the world.
Sure.
I don't think it's... Yeah.
We believe that they believe.
Yeah, we believe that they believe. I mean, I believe that people are seeing things that they don't know what they are. I look outside and see things in the sky that I don't know what they are all the time. The first time I saw Starlink, I was like, bruh, what is that?
Because you just saw a bunch of things moving in a line.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were hanging out with just a couple of Angela's old college friends, and all of a sudden one of them is like, "What is happening?"
So at the time, I was walking. It was late at night, and I was on the phone while I was walking, and I just was like, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And like out loud, and I was like, "There's like a line of lights following each other in the sky. Is this like a third of the stars falling or something?" Like, I was freaking out, and she was like, "That's probably Starlink." I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
cool."
I wonder if that was the same night.
Could have been. Who knows? Anywho, that's all I have for you. I don't
Great.
have theories
Not greatly.
as to what it was. It was something that there haven't been a lot of theories put forward as to what it could have been. The only theories that I really can find are people trying to theorize how to explain away like Tom's story specifically. So that is the 1969 Berkshire UFO incident and two of the major accounts of the incident that weren't abductions, but were kind of abductions.
Wink.
According to the Vallee Classification, they are 100% abductions because they are close encounters of the fourth kind, which are abductions by definition. So, by your own definitions, people, y'all were abducted. My tone there was very rude. I don't mean it that way. I'm sorry you don't like that word and I've been using it. In a lot of other contexts, that doesn't work.
Abducted. Yeah. Well, my theory. You want to know what I believe?
Yeah, I want to know what you believe.
Guess, Gage.
Do you believe that they believe?
I do believe that they believe.
I believe that part of me wants to believe a little bit,
For sure. I believe that about you too.
Any other comments on this before we move on to our closing remarks and what we're into?
No. Tom, you look cool.
So that's the episode. If you enjoyed that, please leave a like and comment your theories or comment other alien encounters or UFO sightings that you are interested in, and maybe we'll cover them in this series. Maybe it'll be at another date. If you want to come on and tell us about your own encounters, please, we would love that.
That's true. We won't make fun of you.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Yeah.
We will have a kind
I'm good
tone
when guests are on.
Yeah, we'll have a kind tone with you.
I do think Melanie, Tom, anyone else that has an experience would like to come on. I do think that my tone in person, getting to actually hear your story, like from you, would be different than just hearing it from Gage. No, but it would be different because it'd be interesting to hear how, like, someone who genuinely believes what they're saying. It would be really interesting to talk with them and to hear their story and to ask them questions and, like, just so you know, like, I really am interested in having someone on who, like, really believes in this stuff, because I don't, but I'm open. I'm open-minded. Even if I'm kind of a jerk, I can be open-minded. So would be happy to have someone on.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun. But we would love to hear your stories. If you want to share stories and you don't want to be on the podcast, you can just send it to us, and I will poorly read your story like I did these ones. Anyways, I want to give a couple of thank yous before we do let's go do what we're into. TJ, what are you into this week?
Sorry, I was doing more research on Melanie. Anyways,
Tom Reed's modeling business.
No, that's a good question. Man, that's a really good question. I've been playing a lot of video games this week. I've started 2 new ones. I've been meaning for a couple years now to do Persona 5 at some point. I've never played any of those games before, and it's well reviewed. The only issue is it's, like, massive, and I'm a grown man with a kid, so I can afford to play. If I'm being responsible,
Yeah.
I can play about an hour a day, probably less. And they say that it can take, like, 150 hours to, like, beat kind of the main content. So that's, like, half of a work year if I'm, like, playing over lunches and then a little bit when I get home or whatever. So it's big. It's fun. And then I've been playing Dragon Quest VIII for the PlayStation 2. Quality game. A lot of fun. Looks pretty. Like, holds up. A lot of fun. I've been kind of into, I guess, kind of specifically JRPGs, but that's not on purpose. Just, like, beautiful turn-based combat games. Really, really enjoy those. It started with Expedition 33.
Started with Dragoon.
That's true. Legend of Dragoon. Good game. Worth a play.
I remember watching you play that. That looked fun. Well, cool. I remember watching Shelby play a lot of Persona 5 because that was back in, like, 2019 when I was coming back and forth to Joplin while I was working at the church all the time. And it looked fun. Turn-based games are really hard for me to get into unless they're called Pokemon.
Yeah. You just have to think of it as if it is.
Which it kind of is. They're all the same. Anyways, I have been into another podcast, actually. As far as I know, it's only on YouTube. I don't actually know, but it's called Long Distance Kicks. And it's 2 brothers named Soren and Ian Johnson who talk about football. I don't know anything about football, but I love listening to them. I say that. Rhett and Ian are friends that we went to college with.
Yes.
And we've known them since we were in high school, probably. They're just really cool dudes. And It's really fun to hear them just hanging out as brothers. They've got great rapport. And if you're into the NFL and stuff like that, you want to hear about the draft, training camps, or you're a Denver Broncos fan, they would be a fun podcast for you to pick up as they're just getting started. So check out the LDK podcast on YouTube, which is short for Long Distance Kicks.
Love that.
Yeah, that's been it. I want to give a couple thank yous. Thank you, Jacob Casey, Adam Ward, Jared Scrother for our intro, outro music at different times. Thank you also for just being our friends. It's fun to get to work with other creative people and to do this. Thank you, DJ, for listening to this inane rambling. Not the people, the me. And thank you, listener, if you're still here. If you are, you probably fell asleep when you were listening to this episode, or you just left it on in the background. Either way, we love and appreciate you. If you haven't yet, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, all of that jazz. But most of all, stay a lovely individual. Because if you're here, you already are.
If you're here, you're family. Go thank yourselves.